Hello, and welcome back to Project Rejectus. I know you guys have been waiting to see the sentient species I introduced last episode, so wait no more. I am proud to introduce the Trummattios, a descendant of the Rejectus, has recently gained the gift of thinking. With their middle pair of limbs have fully become arms and hands, they are ready to take on their strange world. They're going on a trip quite similar to early humans, with some minor differences of course. These guys have a lot to do if they want to survive and thrive. Luckily, they've already made some tools to help. As different as the Trummattios may be from us, their needs are quite similar, such as the simple pickaxes they made to break apart hard stones, along with their axes and spears. Now obviously, you're probably wondering what that weird circle is at the top. What use could it possibly have? Simple. It's an instrument quite similar to maracas. Some little pebbles within it make some noise for the Trummattios' early music. That reminds me, let's talk a little bit about these aliens' culture. While this picture of the Trummattios looks quite normal, why don't we take a closer look around their face? Okay, a bit closer, so you see what I'm talking about. Perfect. You see those odd lines on their tusks? They're more than just lines, each telling a story, quite literally. They write down every important thing that happens to them on their tusks, so when they die there, people would know exactly who they were. A Trummattios' tusks are important no matter the culture, as while the rest of their body will be burned, the tusks are always kept so family and friends can always remember the fallen. It doesn't stop there, however. There's still a lot more to go over, such as this odd statue. While it may just look like an odd rock to a Trummattios, it's obviously their god known as Korka. Believed to represent an all-seeing eye, the Korka is said to come from another world that is now destroyed, and remains as its sole survivor, and now looks over the Trummattios to make sure they won't have the same fate. One of the most popular myths amongst the Trummattios is the fearsome zealot said to stalk the rivers looking for any would-be travelers. They are extremely aggressive, using their strong beaks to kill anyone they find. They are said to be aware of everything within their river, never being caught off guard. Another myth is of the rarely seen Ghislaine, said to be extremely similar to a Trummattios. These beasts are stated to spend most of their time around poisonous plants, seeming to enjoy their time there. They are stated to be quite shy, often running if they see you. Now that we're done with those examples of Trummattios' culture, it's time I give some more biological facts about them. They live mainly in the Grexlands, traveling across those vast plains searching for any food, but they also live in the many jungles and forests near them, with even some different with these populations. The jungle Trummattios, for example, compared to their Grexland cousins, have much more spots and odd curved tusks. Why the difference, you may ask? Because like humans, the Trummattios have many races within them that, while different, are all the same species in the end. Now, we are heading towards the end of the Trummattios introduction, as I only have two things left to show you. 1. This is what a baby Trummattios looks like. And 2. Probably their most important advancement yet. You see, one thing I should clarify is that this episode, alongside of being an introduction, also acts as a shortened version of the Trummattios' early nomadism history. While not much is known about this period, we do know some of the most important events happened during this time, such as the domestication of the Linacia mirroring that of the domestication of wolves on Earth. The Linacia acts as a hunting partner for the Trummattios, helping to put food on the table. While at this point they are nearly identical to their wild ancestors, there are some differences between them. The shaggy searcher is perhaps the oldest breed of Linacia. While they still look very similar to their ancestors, the differences are as clear as day, with obviously the long shaggy fur they grow that their owners usually shear off to make blankets and clothing. They also have slightly bigger mandibles to kill their prey faster. Now, to be completely honest, I could really end the video here, but you guys have waited long enough and deserve better than that. So I am delighted to show you the Trummattios family, and just for fun, you can see how these guys are compared to the average human. Now, enough about that. Let's get into some details about these other species. Starting with the mountain beast. They are a bulkier version of the Trummattios family. They are the Neanderthals of this world, usually roaming the snowy plains and vast mountains of their continent. They can take on any threat that comes their way. Now, let's go over some of their culture, such as this statue. These mythical creatures are known as the Cog folk. No one really knows what they're based on, but they are to be elusive creatures that if caught will give an important piece of wisdom before magically disappeared into thin air. Another myth of these mountain people is the odd hermishell, said to scamper across the many hills, is another shy creature, as they are stated to turn into a rock whenever a person finds them, and will stay like that for days on end long after the threat leaves. It is believed that whoever can approach a hermishell without scaring it is destined for peace and prosperity. The last myth we go over for the mountain beasts is the young said to roam the many forests below the mountains. They are said to be aggressive shapeshifters who try to take the form of a person to lure them in and eat them alive, where they will then absorb their memories and pretend to be their victims to kill their family and friends. Just like their forest cousins, these Trummattios find great pride in their tusks and have their own unique traditions for them. Along with the same stories engraved on their tusks, they make massive special holes in the sides of them for one reason: music. Acting as the world's weirdest flute, each of these people have a special song played by their tusks, whenever said to be the song of their inner soul. These tusks are always kept safe long after their death, so their soul may still be heard from their graves. Now, before I move on to the island dwarfs, here is a couple more facts about the mountain beast, such as the much more abundant plains race that wander the empty fields of snow just looking for a meal. And here is how they look as babies. And now, it's finally the island dwarfs' turn. Probably the most different from their family, the species was isolated on islands, causing them to become much smaller to survive, with a more unique body plan to help. The island dwarfs have curved wrists similar to some of their mainland cousins, and while there isn't a lot of room to work with, they make do. But instead of stories on their tusks, they instead keep track of their age and which tribe they belong to, acting as an early identification on the islands. Another part of their culture is, of course, their myths, such as the gorge, stated to be large purple beings. It's believed they are fallen angels who have rejected the old ways of their ancestors and now hide under the islands for safety. The snows is believed to be the mouth of the snowy ground, appearing when it is displeased with the natives. Actions will attempt to take one of them as payment. These attacks are easily prevented, and the snows is seen as more of a nuisance than anything else. The Sorfak are the Trummattios version of demons, stated to oppress the island's waters. The Sorfak lives to terrorize anything near it, stealing their souls to torture for the rest of eternity with their long sharp heads. Now that we're done with culture, one last thing. From a very, very young age, the island dwarfs are taught one very special thing: how to row a boat. A pretty simple canoe and paddle that helps these small people to travel island to island, and in the future will help them to outnumber their cousins. And that is enough for now. Thank you for watching this very special episode of Project Rejectus, and I will see all of you again as we rise the Trummattios, and what will happen to them.